What would Jesus do if he was in your shoes? Imagine for a moment that you're in a situation where someone has wronged you, deeply hurt you. What would Jesus do? Would he hold on to that bitterness, let it take root in his heart? Or would he extend forgiveness, even when it wasn't asked for, even when it wasn't deserved? Take a moment and think about it. Jesus, who forgave even as he hung on the cross, asking God to forgive those who crucified him. That same Jesus would likely choose forgiveness over resentment every single time. So, if he were in your shoes, how might he handle the grudges, the pain, the things you're struggling to let go of? Would he carry that burden, or would he release it to make space for peace? And what about when life gets chaotic, when people push your buttons and anger starts bubbling up? What would Jesus do in that moment? Would he lash out, resort to violence, or would he show patience, calmness, even when everything around him was falling apart? We know the answer. Jesus, who calmed the storm with just a word, would speak peace into the chaos. He wouldn't let anger control his actions. If Jesus was in your shoes, how would he handle those moments of frustration? Would he respond with harsh words, or take a deep breath and offer understanding? Imagine being hurt or insulted by someone you trusted. What would Jesus do? Would he turn the other cheek, or would he strike back with vengeance? The truth is, we've seen his example. Jesus tells us to turn the other cheek, not because it's easy, but because it shows strength in the face of violence and love in the face of hatred. If he was walking in your shoes, would he respond with a hardened heart, or would he choose love, no matter how hard it is? Now think about the desire for justice, that urge we all feel sometimes to make things right in our own way. What would Jesus do if he felt wronged? Would he seek vengeance? Would he demand that things be made right through anger or force? Or would he practice forbearance, trusting in God's timing and justice, knowing that true peace comes from letting go of the need for revenge? If Jesus were in your shoes, would he call for retribution, or would he forgive no matter the situation, no matter the cost? But here's a deeper question. What if Jesus was physically with you, right now, standing beside you in every decision, every interaction? What would you do then? Would you continue in your old ways, following your impulses? Or would you pause and ask yourself, what would Jesus want me to do? Would you still let anger guide your words? Would you still hold on to grudges? Or would you start living with more grace, more love, knowing he's right there with you, seeing every choice, hearing every word? If Jesus was standing next to you, would it change how you treat others? Would it change how you react to disappointments, betrayals, or pain? It's so easy to get caught up in our own emotions, to justify our actions because we feel hurt or wronged. But when we remember Jesus is always with us, when we remind ourselves of his constant presence, it changes everything. We begin to see life through his eyes, through the lens of compassion, patience, and unconditional love. We often ask ourselves, what would Jesus do? But maybe the more important question is, what will we do, knowing Jesus is with us? Will we strive to reflect his love, his grace, his mercy in every part of our lives? Will we try, even in our imperfections, to live as he lived, to love as he loved? It's not easy. In fact, it's often the hardest thing to do. But Jesus didn't call us to an easy life. He called us to a life of love, of forgiveness, of choosing peace when the world expects us to fight. He called us to be a reflection of His heart, to show His love to a world that desperately needs it. So, the next time you find yourself in a difficult moment, whether it's a conflict with a loved one, a betrayal, or simply a frustrating day, ask yourself, what would Jesus do if He was in my shoes? And then ask the second question, what will I do, knowing He's right here with me? When we start to see life this way, every moment becomes an opportunity to live out faith, hope, and love. Every decision becomes a chance to reflect the heart of Jesus. And in doing so, we not only change ourselves, we change the world around us, one small act of love at a time. So, what will you do? Will you hold on to bitterness or let it go? Will you strike back in anger, or will you choose peace? Will you seek revenge, or will you forgive? What would Jesus do? And more importantly, what will you do with Him by your side? If this message has motivated you today, feel free to comment, Amen,